amid a dangerous escalation in the war in Ukraine after Russia hit the former nuclear power plant at Chernobyl with a drone armed with a high explosive warhead. So this attack was caught on camera. Take a look at this video. You can see a large explosion. It's in the upper left-hand side of your screen. That drone making contact with the so-called sarcophagus of reactor 4. That reactor exploded during a routine stress test back in 1986, leading to the worst nuclear disaster in history. Fortunately, Ukrainian President Zelensky said while the damage is significant, there are no signs of increased radiation at the plant. And Russia, though, is denying targeting the plant. But the strike comes as world leaders are gathered in Munich discussing European security, including VP J.D. Vance, who is meeting with President Zelensky right now. So NewsNation's Robert Sherman live for us at the White House with more, Robert, on the vice president's speech and the reaction to that drone attack.
Yeah, Nichole, once again, there's a lot of focus on the Munich Security Conference this year, with the vice president meeting with world leaders in Germany, having these discussions. Already, we've seen him take the microphone here and start talking about issues that they've identified that includes immigration and censorship in Europe. But it's also been a message from this administration that they believe that NATO members need to spend more in defense for unified security on the continent. The vice president telling world leaders with this new administration in office, things are set to be different.
In Washington, there is a new sheriff in town. And under Donald Trump's leadership, we may disagree with your views, but we will fight to defend your right to offer it in the public square, agree or disagree.
But it's not necessarily what's happening on stage, but behind closed doors that has so much focus here, with the vice president, J.D. Vance, sitting down with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky today. That meeting has been really looked forward to for days now, with the president talking about that as they want to find a way to sunset the war. The president saying this week that he wants negotiations to happen on ending the war in Ukraine as quickly as possible, believing both sides do want to find some kind of a solution. But we have heard Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky drawing an effective line in the sand, saying whatever agreement they come to when it comes to ending the war, the Ukrainians must be looped in. They will not accept any unilateral deals that are made between the Russians and the Americans alone. Nichole.
All right. So, speaking of ending the war, tensions are rising now after that drone strike on Chernobyl. What more do we know about that?
Well, anytime Chernobyl comes up, especially in the context of the war in Ukraine, it certainly raises a lot of eyebrows. You may recall earlier on in the war, there was a point in which Russia occupied that area surrounding Chernobyl. The president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, coming out today and accusing the Russians of what he's calling a drone strike that they said hit the outer shell of one of the reactors there. They say that no radiation levels have been increased, though it did leave a hole in that shell. But Russia has come out and denied any involvement in this, saying that this is something that was not their responsibility, and they're accusing the Ukrainians of trying to stoke fears in Europe to try and garner more support for them. Still, I mean, it is certainly something that, especially when you listen to the UN watchdog groups, that they're keeping a very close eye on here, particularly with all the history surrounding Chernobyl. Nichole.
All right, Robert Sherman live for us there in Washington. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.